Hello. Um, Welcome to the second show of 2022. It's January 2nd, as a matter of fact, and it's a Sunday. Storms are starting to roll in, and it's raining, and well, I'm running late again. I'm trying to get situated for 6 o'clock to 7:30 chats, but life is kind of keeping me from hitting that target. In fact, it's kind of a poor excuse today because I was playing Phasmophobia with my son, and time got away from me. So there might be music playing in the background. Might be really, really light. And I'm still messing with my mic to make sure that everything is getting picked up properly. But I noticed previously that the gate was opening up a little late and chopping off some of my audio. And now it might be picking up the speakers that are playing music. So I'm trying to find a happy balance without wearing headphones or in-ear monitors, which is always an option. I suppose I could turn off my mic and just wear my wireless mic and a headset so I can hear what's going on. But at any rate, today we're going to be talking about the next three categories of groups there on ohmTown.com, all of which I hope to turn into real-time shows with discussions both on Twitch and on Discord, and of course the website itself. I kind of leave that off as a kind of an expectation. If you want to chat, you always have the ability to log in, join ohmTown, become a citizen. I will be extending it this week to include Twitch as a login. But this show tonight is really going to be another quick show, kind of ease into the new year, and we can talk about the various elements of these. I've actually figured out what the problem was with the education category from yesterday's show. It's actually grabbing the wrong content from here, but I will remedy it. It should be picking up stuff in this set of groups. But it's not. I just have to remedy it. Yeah, kind of a matter of cut and paste being an issue. So in entertainment, this is primarily a set of shows about music, food, TV, music to some degree, although music is pretty pervasive in my life. I don't do a deep dive into music. I'm not a musician, but I love talking about it, and there's always somebody that's better at it than me. They know more. I am by far not the smartest man in the room, or I should say I am not so proud as to suggest that I'm the smartest man in the room, but I'm happy to discuss it and highlight other people who are. And I think it's a great thing to talk about it with people who are even more involved in it, more aware of it. I just like being the conduit by which this gets done. So today we're going to talk about Of the Leaf and Distill Rest and Mix War, continuity report of the still, of the bean, of the brew, and of the grape. So Of the Leaf is a show and a news aggregation of tea and tea products, equipment, techniques, people, places, things. And the objective really is to get people interested in tea and drinking it. It's good for health and mind and body. Instead of getting plastered to excess, you can drink some tea. Of course, I am consumer of all of these things. So every day I have coffee. I periodically have a beer. I periodically have wine. I do imbibe spirits, so I've got a few, maybe a dozen different types of spirits. Well, not different types, but an array of spirits. A distillerist is more focused on the people and places, and of the still is focused on the drinks themselves, mixing drinks. I like to break it up a little bit so that people who are more interested in the people and places can focus their news on that. And those who are interested in the drinks themselves can focus on the still side of things. So Of the Leaf really is just about the products, the people, places, and things associated with tea. And when you click on the entertainment section, you get pulled down into a subcategory, and it has all of the subgroups in it, and then a little bit of news that goes beneath it, 50 articles or so. Really depends on how much has been flowing through the aggregation process. As you can see, most of this right now is the continuity report, and every once in a while you'll find a brew or a leaf. So why does it say of the still or of the leaf? And that's basically because at one point I was breaking it up across kind of branding around a particular identity, and really it wasn't as inclusive. I wanted people to get interested in it as a member of a group that is dedicated to tea. And so you could be a member of the Brotherhood of the Leaf or the Sisterhood of the Leaf. But over the years that I've owned these domains, I never really did anything with them. But now I think that we can become a member of a group that's dedicated to a community about tea or spirits or coffee. And that's what these are. So this is a headline that is the one that I'm showing highlighted right now. It's related to TV, movies, etc., entertainment. And so Stephen J. Lawrence, a Sesame Street composer, dies at age 82. I guess 2021 is extending into 2022. It happens quite a bit. And like I mentioned in the last episode, yesterday, the idea that 1 year is better or worse than another year is largely based on how much information we consume. So the more that you find out about that is negative, you will probably say, well, the year really sucked. And depending on what happens to you, you can say the year really sucks. So for instance, one of the last 5 years have been pretty rough for me, right? So I lost my dad, then my wife got breast cancer. Then we had family members pass away, and just recently another family member passed away. So you can say that over the last 5 years, coupled with the pandemic, it's really kind of sucked. But there are people out there that have had it much worse, and plenty of people out there that have had it much better. So really it's how we cope with it, how we deal with it. And to everybody, I say, you will find your own way of dealing with the ups and downs of each year, and each year past the hills, past the hurdles, past the problems. The longer you go, it gets easier to deal with it, so to say. But you never forget, but you cope and you talk with people about it. And I have no problem talking about it with people. If you are interested, and you stumble across this, log in, come into my chat, and ask questions and talk. If you're curious about something that you see on ohmTown, or you're going through whatever, it's good to talk and express yourself. So I'm actually open to discussion, and we can actually log in. You can log into Zoom. I can give you access to a Zoom chat, and I can pull you into a chat, and we can have a conversation if you so desire. And obviously, there might be trolls out there that do something with this, but I have no problem just turning somebody off when I see that they're just trolling. But in the meantime, we can talk about these other things until my channel, I start getting some people that show up. I'm going to continue on like this and describe what's going on and talk about some of this stuff. The worst songs of 2021. This is an interesting article, right? Let's see what it says. Songs that make you go, took no holiday during the second year of the pandemic. Libs owning country, check. Gay baiting hip hop, sure. We had that. Anti-vax rock, it's practically become its own subgenre. Why not? Defiantly rabble-rousing songs from Kid Rock, DaBaby, Eric Clapton, Van Morrison, Aaron Lewis, Brantley Gilbert. So this is an article from Variety. And they talk about the worst songs of 2021 because we are now in 2022. So obviously, let's do that retrospective of bad songs from each year. Sure. Aaron Lewis, am I the only one? DaBaby, giving what it's supposed to give. Wild. Van Morrison, they own the media. Telling lyrics. Mind control keeps us in line. Stop listening to the mainstream media junk. I'm a targeted individual. Got to get to the bottom of who's pulling the strings. 4 judges screwed me over. These are lyrics? Kid Rock. Man. There have been people that have been kind of blasting Kid Rock about this. But it's kind of interesting because a lot of people kind of come out of the woodwork and give their opinion, and it's just like me giving my opinion. I may have academic experience and knowledge, but that doesn't make me necessarily the subject matter expert for everything. In a perfect world, you will get perfect data from the people who are the most knowledgeable of this, that, or the other, whatever it might be. But when it comes to entertainers giving their opinion about politics, it is just their opinion, and by no means should you wholly identify with their perspective because they are an entertainer. They have no more knowledge than the next person about the machinations of politics other than from their own perspective. And it never applies to another individual exactly the way that they might be describing their perspective of politics. And that's because a person that has a great amount of wealth is largely immune from political machinations. But when you are bound by policy that prevents you from doing something, or you are bound by minimum wage and you can't get past it because school is so expensive, you have to put that effort in. You have to really grind much harder than somebody who has gone to school, or you'll seek opportunity elsewhere and find that niche that you excel in. It's never as easy as, well, I believe in what Van Morrison says, so obviously I'm right. And that's just not the way it is. It's never black and white, except for some of the most egregious things. And politics is a scale. It's a range, a spectrum, I guess you could say. And right now, politics in the United States in particular, I can't speak about others, but politics in the United States are vitriolic. They are polarizing to a great degree. And it's a real shame that for many things, two people can't have just a rational conversation because somebody is triggered to an emotional outburst. And there isn't really any meeting of the minds or people changing in the whole by just outburst yelling. We really have to communicate with each other and find that common ground and find out why one person is thinking this way or that way, what the benefit is from wearing a mask or not wearing a mask that makes it political, or any other topic, right? What really is the benefit to the individual who sees that they need to kind of dictate what somebody else does? And we can talk about it if you are interested. I can't get into specifics because I don't want to waste anybody's time with a very specific thing. But this article is talking about the various aspects of a person's perspective, and they happen to be an entertainer. So they write a song and suddenly people treat it as subject matter expertise or that it's something that they agree with or don't agree with because of the topic they're in. But you got to keep in mind, it is just a perspective, just like any other person's perspective. They are not the experts. They have the context of their own life, and very rarely, if ever, are two people bound in the same context. So enjoy the music, but don't necessarily use that as a guiding light. That said, music, movies, books, all kinds of things influence people in great positive ways. And I'm very glad that people find material that they can anchor themselves to. And it's interesting to hear it happen with podcasts. It's interesting to see it happen with books and movies and music. And I can tell you from my experience, again, a lot of everything that I talk about is from the context of my worldview. But again, I'll say it again. I am not espousing my particular worldview. I'm just talking about it. And happy to talk about it with anybody else that comes along and wants to. So keep it in mind when you're reading the news, when you're talking with people. It is their perspective, and you shouldn't be offended by the perspective, but you should be able to have a conversation with the people of differing perspectives. Don't get upset about it. But obviously, sometimes a person's perspective is so outlandish that you wouldn't have a drink with that person. You wouldn't hang out with that person because of their perspective. And that is wholly your right. You should absolutely make that choice on your own. Here's another one. So go on over to Variety, click the link on ohmTown, and you can vote it up, vote it down on ohmTown, but do it after you go and read the article. You know, was it a good article? Was it an article that speaks to you? Does it make any sense? If not, you know, vote it down if you want. Make a post, make a comment. It'd be great to hear from you. And that's in Continuity Report. And there are others that are in there. Max Julian, Blaxploitation, icon and star of the Mac, dies at 88. NPR just had a great little discussion about Max Julian. If you're interested in that, you can check out NPR. This particular link will probably take you to Variety as well. Yep, it's an article on variety.com. Go and check it out. Marjorie Taylor Greene was permanently banned from Twitter. It's a permanent suspension from what I understand, not a permanent ban. Maybe they're synonymous, but I thought what I've read previously was that it was a permanent suspension. So Twitter permanently suspended the personal account of far-right politician Marjorie Taylor Greene for repeated violations of the social network's policy on COVID misinformation. And frankly put, if people are posting misinformation that harms people, then so be it. It is a private enterprise. It is not a government or public access way. It is by no means open to the public for public discourse in such a way that you can outright lie about things and get away with it. Because if it happens in the real world, and I hate to say that, you know, the internet isn't the real world, but legally speaking, if you provide information and it is a lie, or it harms people, you can be held accountable for these statements out in the real world. If I were to tell people, hey, you can go, you know, eat Tide Pods, like what happened online, a person can be held accountable for saying to individuals, go and eat Tide Pods. And many other things, right? You are personally liable for these statements that you make. You can be held accountable without a doubt. But for some reason, everybody thinks that just because you posted on the internet, suddenly you are beyond arm's length of the legal liability of making claims that are wholly incorrect. And so if somebody gets banned from Twitter or YouTube or whatever, then so be it. That's the way that it goes. And you should consider the fact that when you go into somebody, if you go to somebody's channel, let's say mine or somebody else, if you go into their YouTube channel and you start posting stuff that's just absurd, lies, outlandish, whatever, you should expect, and you shouldn't feel slighted. You're either trolling or you are ignorant of the reality of it. Okay. So if somebody corrects you and you get bent out of shape, you either need to supply evidence of what you are saying is correct, or you back away. You just say, okay, look, I'm wrong, or I don't know what I'm talking about, or something, whatever. It doesn't matter. But don't think that you can go into everybody's house and just start spewing garbage. That's not how the real world works. In the real world, if you go running around screaming, you know, banana stuff that's factually incorrect, demonstrably incorrect, I should be able to kick you out of my house. And that's how it goes with the channel. I should be able to boot you out of my channel. Not because I don't agree with you. There's a difference between I don't agree with you and you repeatedly espousing lies, factually incorrect information. And then to sit there and say, oh, well, I didn't lie, when it becomes a legal matter. I didn't lie. I gave alternative facts. That's just not how it works. There is no such thing as alternative facts. There are facts. Context can change, right? But if you're holding the match and there's video of you lighting the fire, there is no alternative fact other than you are holding the match and you lit the fire. That's how it works, right? You can't say that you were trying to stay warm, so you set a house on fire. That's just not how it works. The facts will end up speaking for themselves. And when it comes to this virus, wear a mask. What is the big deal? We have to get driver's licenses, so we have to follow certain rules. We have to prove that we are vaccinated to let our kids go into school. We have to do countless things. Depending on your career, you have to do even more. Background checks on me have gone back to my birth, so that I could justify for a job, my existence for a job. It's quite wild. And can you sit there and say, well, sure, you're jumping through the hoop. Maybe I shouldn't have to do blah, blah, blah. Sure. But there are repercussions. You can't, if an employer or a store says you have to wear your mask, wear a mask. It's a private enterprise. It isn't open to the public. It isn't paid for by the government. You don't have the right to arbitrarily issue somebody else's rules and regulations so that it's easier for you. That's just not how it works. Now, if you're working for somebody and you don't agree with a policy or a procedure, then you can talk about it until everybody is at a level where they say, yeah, let's change the policy or procedure. I've done that in every business that I've ever worked for, and the many that I've been a consultant for, where I changed the policy and procedure because it didn't make sense at the time, or it won't make sense in 5 years. And it's time to get ahead of it. And in this particular instance, we've been dealing with a pandemic for over 2 years now, or coming up on 2 years of shutdown. We've been dealing with it for 2 years now, since 2019, right? We've known about COVID since 2019, December of 2019. And now we're on Omicron and still dealing with it. And then, like I said yesterday, thousands upon thousands of new infections, even with the vaccine, because there are so many people who are not vaccinated, and they don't understand that the vaccine works, but it doesn't stop the virus from infecting people. You can still get the flu. You can still get COVID. You can still pass it on. What it does is it stops it from destroying your body. If you get this virus, it can destroy your lungs permanently, because your lungs won't rebuild. They won't recover from this. Just like smoking. If you smoke a cigarette, or if you smoke anything, it damages your lungs. It clogs up the alveoli, and it cannot be repaired. It isn't like regular skin where it can heal over. You get permanent damage. And when you get permanent damage and you're at a young age, or you're unvaccinated, you will end up being a long hauler, and you won't even realize it. Or you'll realize it and discount it. Well, I didn't want to run anyway. So just because I'm getting winded walking up the stairs doesn't mean anything now. It doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is there are facts. The context of those facts might change a little bit. they might become greater nuanced, but it has always been true that you can't or shouldn't, it's unethical, it's immoral to espouse outright fabrications, lies, manipulations, half-truths, etc. And if an organizational body, if an enterprise, if someone calls you out for it, you should be expecting it, because it's a lie and it can be substantiated as a lie. So what really is going on here? You know, why do people want to lie about what's happening with COVID? Well, it's such a complex issue that unless you have just gobs of time, you can't unravel this knot. There's issues within issues, levels within levels, and it's easier to just spout this half nonsense out at somebody, and then it's up to every responsible adult to do their own due diligence to answer what really is going on. Meanwhile, the people who don't want to do due diligence and don't care to do due diligence, they just accept what is said by some politician and move on. And this applies to other things, by the way. You really should do your own due diligence. There is no such thing as mainstream media versus other media. There's just media, and the ones that are perceived as being mainstream are just the ones that can withstand the financial onslaught of losses, or have survived long enough to become the monster that they once, rode against. So really just do your own due diligence and understand that if you follow the money, most of the time you'll get to a different answer, and continue to wonder why is this being pursued so hotly like this? And meanwhile, apparently she's got investments in the very thing that she's railing against, but who knows, if all of that's true. We're not supposed to, like I said yesterday, I'm not allowed to invest in stocks without them being cleared, because of what I do and who I am and who I'm with and so on. And because of that, I can't just go and trade in the health industry, or I can't have too many stocks in any particular sector. And there's all kinds of rules on me. But someone who benefits directly from it with privileged information can wholeheartedly invest. And apparently there is no dilemma there. But, without going into it, I think that we should all be bound by the same rules. And you can't just lob out insider trading. But if you have privileged information, it's insider trading. So if Martha Stewart can go to jail because she did insider trading, why shouldn't everybody who did insider trading? Oh, because it's hard to prove. Well, that's what investigations are all about. But different rules for different people. So Spider-Man No Way Home crosses 600 million in North America. That's pretty awesome for what amounts to the main person in this is Spider-Man. Has a huge following, very charismatic. Spider-Man this time around has some real life in him as an actor. And the MCU is just bananas with its world building and The MCU multiverse is going to come out of the gate swinging. Let me tell you, I just love everything about the MCU. I hope to see more, and I hope that I'm around for a lot longer than I have in my future. But we'll see. Maybe my wish from yesterday that we get real cybernetics comes to fruition, and I'll live to be 130. But the premise of Spider-Man No Way Home is really interesting because it can be summed up as to messing up somebody's wish. So if you're interested in it, go and check it out. This article is on Variety as well. Interesting. So I guess I ingested a lot of information from Variety. So go check out variety.com. If you want to have discussions in a smaller forum, at least for now, log in to ohmTown.com, become a citizen of ohmTown, and you actually start earning points. And once I connect it to Twitch, we'll be able to tie everything together. So if you're in chat, you get points, and if you're on the website, you get points, and discussions get you points. When you post a comment, when you vote, when you reach out and talk to somebody else on ohmTown, you'll get points. And those points will eventually be able to be used in other ways, both on Twitch and on the ohmTown site. But that will have to come in time. I am literally a one-stop shop. I'm a one-person operation. I do all of my web building. I do all of my own consulting, and I subcontract when I need to. But for the most part, I am a one-person operation now. Used to do stuff nationwide. I've had multiple businesses over the years, but now I do one thing and then I do this on the side. So I hope that you get a kick out of this. And if you are interested in having a chat, just post a message in our stream chat. That would be great to hear from you. Again, I don't advertise. I don't really go out there and try and sell my channel. But I hope that people find me and find it interesting to talk about what is going on in the world here and on Twitch and on ohmTown and in Discord. Of the Grape, it's the wine group, and you can become a member of the Grape and subscribe to just that, and you'll get news. And that particular article is After Prohibition, Literature and Film Led the Way for Modern Cocktail Culture. And here's a little snippet of it. I do not take the whole article. It's just a little snippet. In fact, I may actually shorten this one. But the source is vinepair.com. If you click the link, it'll take you over to it. Of course, you can always log in, like I said earlier, and post a message. And we're part of Giphy, so you can actually post little GIFs that summarize your perspective of this article, and you can always vote. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, so if you want to make it really short and sweet, just post a little Giphy. So go and check it out. Kansas City's alma mater are brewing for the backyard. So if you've never brewed your own beer, give it a shot. There's always some place in your city that brews beer and has gives you an opportunity to brew your own. In fact, there's a distillery in my town where I was just given a gift for Christmas to go and have my own spirit made. So I can't wait to go and do that. I will probably end up doing that in a couple of months as winter is starting. But we will see. If they've got openings now, I may just run in there and get it done. But it would be awesome to have my own spirit. That would be just great. But we'll see what happens. So whether it's pinpoint pilsners, lush, juicy IPAs, or big balanced stouts, the upstarts at Family Run Alma Mater in Kansas City have something that just about any kind of drinker can love. And that's at beerandbrewing.com, an article talking about the brewery Alma Mater. So go and check it out. I won't go into great detail in this. The objective is for you to read the article and then vote for it and chat with me in ohmTown chat here on Twitch. So post a message if you are interested. Bobby Bones says he's not returning to American Idol for season 20. Season 20 of American Idol. Wow. That is unbelievable. Time has been flying by. Movie marketing maven Richard Citron dies at 68. Yikes. That's a bummer. Brewing melted snow tea, a winter luxury in Of the Leaf, huh? So where is this? This is on Taching. Okay, so this site is focused on teaching. And they have some great articles. Obviously, like I said in my first hour show, I'm not really into reading material prior to going online, and it's kind of like a reaction video, right? I like reading some of this material with you. Others can read it and we can talk about it off the cuff. I like to give context to certain things if I have foreknowledge of the topic. But everybody should go and read this article and learn a little bit and then come back and talk about it. That's kind of what it's all about. And the reason why I like to do this is because I like to consolidate my information into one place. And if people are interested in it, then we can all chat about it. And somebody in chat could post a message saying, hey, I'd really like to talk about it tomorrow. And we can all talk about it tomorrow. And that sounds like a good thing. So what else is going on in here? We're about 45 minutes into this episode. Miley Cyrus had a wardrobe malfunction and handled it like a pro. Oh my God. I mean, she is a professional musician, so I shouldn't be surprised by it, right? But it was spectacular. Somebody posted it elsewhere. I think it was on Reddit, and barely. I think maybe the backing track was still going when she stopped singing. The live aspect of it briefly, so that she could change her or put on a jacket. She basically lost her top, and came back out, and the show continued on, and in spectacular fashion. And that's what happens when you have a professional set of musicians and stage management. You end up having a seamless solution to what could have been something that was a bannable offense in most cases. You know, we all know that it has happened in the past, but we all know, or if you haven't found out yet, but many of us know that Betty White died. She lived from 1922 to 2021, moments before 2022. So she wanted to live to be over 100, and she just barely missed it. But it's a real bummer that Betty White is gone. when I've told other people or when they have found out, I got a text saying that 2021 sucks. Yeah, that to a lot of people, 2021 sucked. And yeah, I can somewhat agree with it. It was not the best of years, but 2022 is here now, so let's move forward. Remember Betty White for everything that she accomplished and everything that she did for everybody else. Here's a more positive one. There was a worst ones, and now here's the best songs of 2021. You should come and take a look at it on ohmTown and then go over and read it. It's just a small little snippet, and then go over to Variety and talk about it. They have the worst and the best songs of 2021. This is a list of the 50 best songs. So I'm not sure if they're in a particular order because they started out with number one. But everybody's number one is going to be a little bit different. Without a doubt, nobody's going to say that they like this particular number one when they're not into that kind of music. Somebody could be an Adele super fan, and this number 7 is actually their number one. So go and check it out, read it, listen to the music. They have little snippets, it seems. I'm not going to play it because of copyright, which I think is kind of absurd in this context. Incidental music, like music in games and things like that. I don't know. Streamers and YouTubers who are playing games are playing the game. And for the most part, I could go to any streamer, right? But I enjoy a particular streamer. So I go and I watch that particular streamer. And for them to have to neuter their stream because of a copyright claim they're not playing the music for the music's sake. They're playing a game and the music is incidental. And the complexity of copyright law is almost an untenable position, and it's intentionally left as arcane. At one point for 3 years, I had licensing that allowed me to play music on YouTube, on Twitch. But it was so nebulous that when I tried to get absolute confirmation that I could play music and talk about it on ohmTown on Twitch, I couldn't get a straight answer other than, yes, I was covered by my license. Well, unfortunately, VODs are not covered by this particular license. So for me to get the VOD license, a license that covered my VODs, I would have to get a sync license, and that sync license has to come from the copyright holder, not from a licensing agency. So if I played, 1,000 songs in a year, I would have to have for each unique song permission for that song. And I would have to know enough about it to describe it to the person granting the license and be able to pay them after the fact, right? So a quarterly payment to compensate them for this license. When really I would be happy to pay, $350 a year so that I can stream and talk about music on my channel, and I can document how many people are in my channel in a given time. I can talk about the music. I can play the music and talk with people about it. Well, we have not gotten that far, and I think that it would be akin to, if everybody were to do this, there would be so much more money flowing into the hands of the people who are reaping the rewards of their artistic creations. But right now, it's kind of hit or miss. You can license it, but not for VODs. You can subscribe to streaming services. Right now, I'm using Pretzel Rocks. You might be able to hear it really quietly in the background. But that is music that is not in the mainstream perspective of people. I don't really like calling anything mainstream. I just think that it's entertainment or news or whatever. But traditionally, this would not be considered mainstream music. But this list over on Variety is 50 songs, and you might find them interesting. You might find them boring or some other thing to describe it. So go and check it out. It's on Variety. Obviously, you can talk about it on the Continuity Report. This will eventually be filtered into the music groups, but the Continuity Report is fine for discussing this too. And we can continue on. So this particular group is again, or this category is again about food and drink and music and movies. And I will expand what gets ingested news-wise into this. I would love to be able to get the Mix War channel up and running, and we could do this on Twitch at ohmTown, or ohmTown on Twitch. And the Mix War thing is entirely being impacted by copyright. All I want to do is allow musicians to mix their own music and then stream it, but use music from anywhere, and just mix it up. Pick a fight. That's what it's, the whole motto here is, that Mix War gives somebody the opportunity to pick a fight, mix it up, and entertain people. And so you take a bunch of tracks and give them to somebody else and say, let's fight it out on Mix War. And you make the music, you upload it to Mix War. I play them on the channel live at some point, and people vote. And depending on the day, it could be a daily thing, it could be a weekly thing, it could be a monthly thing. The objective is to get that wholly working every single day, every single week, every single month, 4 times a year, so quarterly, and then annually, and then award some gift or money or prizes. I guess we'll just call it prizes. But basically be a community that promotes music, and anybody can make music. It may not rise to the level, or it might surpass anything that we have seen previously, but let's give people a means to talk about the music that they're creating and not necessarily have to go through a major publisher. Although that can be the quickest way to mass riches. But I'm not a musician, so I'm a consumer of the full spectrum of music, from classical, folk, death metal, rap, pretty much anything. As long as it sounds good and appeals to me, I'm willing to listen to it. And that's entertainment. So I'm going to probably speed up a little bit. I've been talking for an hour, and I hope that when people stumble across this, they find it interesting. Policy metrics is all about public policy, website policy, policies in general, privacy and complaint and whatnot. And it's usually written in such a way that it's arcane psychobabble that nobody can read, and you just have to accept, and there's no bargaining power. So even if you do read it, you have to accept it wholly, and get past that little checkbox so that you can play the game or access the website. And when you are not interested in following that particular policy, this is where we end up with a public who believes that they can say and do anything. Yet, there are policies that are in place to prevent certain things from taking place. So we talk about it. If somebody finds an interesting one, post it in here, and we can talk about it live. And again, this is a show that I want to run once a week, 1 hour. Or more. It really depends on the host. If I end up being the host, then it'll odds on be an hour. Depending on how entertaining that hour is, I will remain the host. Law Nerd is a deep dive into a legal topic, usually in reference to an attorney. If I'm the host, then it will not be an attorney because I am not an attorney. Right Protect is about copyright and IP protections. So if you are an artist or a writer or a musician, combination therein, then this show will help you navigate the rules and regulations of copyright and IP law, patents, trademarks, the business aspect of things. I have experience in it, but again, I am not an attorney and I'm not your lawyer. Even if I was an attorney, I'm not your lawyer. Smash or Trash. Now, this is the other music thing that I had going. And the objective here was to talk about new music and decide if it's a smash hit or to trash it. And this had started up, and then the copyright issues kept cropping up, and I could never find any solid footing, and so I shelved it. And once I can get something that wraps around streaming music without having to get individual permissions to stream the music while we talk about it, this one is pretty much DOA, but we will come back and talk about it again and again, I suppose, when it becomes an issue. The one that in here that I'm really interested in pursuing is going to end up being stream stars. I would love to highlight people who are streaming and why I think that they are good to go and watch and subscribe to. It's very difficult to just go out there and find people and see if there's some affinity. And so if you have an affinity for me, then you might have an affinity for the people that I find and or the people that are suggested to me and that we end up talking about in the chat, both, or I should say in all places, Discord, Twitter, on ohmTown.com, Twitch, Twitter too. I'm on Twitter, so there's ohmTown on Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I have no appeal for that at this time. Who knows? So I'm ingesting a lot of legal stuff into this right now. I haven't been pulling people into the stream stars category, but I will. If you are interested in being a host, just shoot me a message and I will respond with information and what exactly is expected. But we can talk about it. Court reforms, huh? Well, this will be interesting, 2022. Okay. Sorry, I was reading a message in the chat. Oh boy. Harnessing the power of women entrepreneurs. I said, oh boy, because the previous titles in my feed here are very political. In a law, my nose itches. In a law group. But harnessing the power of women entrepreneurs. This is an Above the Law article. You should go and check them out. And you can give your perspective in chat. You can give your perspective on ohmTown. Give it a shot. Now, this is a really short article, and I'm not sure how long this is as an audio thing, but apparently the article is written by Catherine Rubino. And, it's the Jabbit podcast. It's an offshoot of the Above the Law brand, focused on the challenges women, people of color, LGBTQIA, and other diverse populations face in the legal industry. And it continues to say, our name comes from none other than the notorious Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the Jabbot decorative collar she wore when delivering dissents from the bench. I might be pronouncing that wrong. I don't think it's habit. But, forgive me if I am mispronouncing that. I will solve that and not make that mistake again if I am making a mistake, in fact. Anyway, that said, it is an audio article and not so much an article that's written out. Yeah. So go and check it out. Listen to it. Come back to ohmTown.com and make your comments there. And I hope to hear from you in the future after you listen to this, and then you go over there and then come back. Top 10 legal trends that define 2021. This will be interesting. This will probably be from Above the Law as well. No, it's the Law Sites blog. Coming off the accelerated innovations of 2020, 2021, seemed to leave us wondering how best to build on those changes over the long haul. Well, I can probably tell you one. Changing everything into digital would solve a whole lot of people's problems, and not having to not having to drive into work and taking advantage of telework to a greater degree. Again, if your body does not need to be in a seat in an office or in a factory where you have to touch a product that's being manufactured, you do not need to be driving anywhere unless you're there for the networking side of things, which that is largely the rationale for a 4-year college, doing networking so that you can make those early ties to future business. Those are a lot of connections are found right there in college, or pardon me, or doing fundamental research in a laboratory environment. That is what college is really about. In most cases, you get a degree and then you get a job and you're working for somebody else, and guess what they do while you're employed there? They teach you how to be in their business. A lawyer doesn't come out of law school already knowing all of the policy and procedure for a law firm. They get groomed when they get onboarded into the business, and over the years, they become more and more familiar with the machinations of the firm. The same thing happens in air conditioning. Same thing happens in welding. Same thing happens all over the place. You do not complete college and suddenly you are already groomed to take over the CEO position of a business. That's just not how it works. So they say the new normal became the endless uncertainty. Well, the endless uncertainty is because people are being wishy-washy about the decision makings that take place. For crying out loud, I'm dealing with that myself. Never knowing if I'm going to be in-house again or if I'm going to remain remote. I've converted everything to being online and I'm entirely happy with it. And the people who are my customers, are my clients, they should be happy with it too, because they no longer have to commute for hours to get to the place. And nor do I have to do the same thing. I can get what I need to get via Zoom meetings. But I am very comfortable with change. Others, not so much. Regulatory dominoes remained standing. Legal tech went public. One of the most expensive things around legal is things like Westlaw, Lexis. Astronomically expensive. And I can't say for what you get. It's just really expensive for a solo practitioner in law. I was quoted at $250 a month for access to Westlaw as an individual practitioner, and it didn't contain everything that I would get as a student in law school, let's say. But a law school is paying an arm and a leg for access for its students to have access to Westlaw or Lexis. It really depends on where they're getting their materials, and not everybody has both. So go check out that article. Big law firms push back their reopening dates due to the latest COVID variant, some indefinitely. Yeah. But law firms can open up. They're just not returning to the office. Which, unless you have trust issues with your employees, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem just being remote. And most of these are legal related, law related. So we're going to continue on. And then technology here is the biggest. It's the most involved. I actually have quite a large interest in technology. The Word in Tech is a show that really will just talk about some particular aspect of technology with a greater intent, a greater means of defining what that context is, whatever the word is of the day, or of the week, I should say. But by no means does the show limit what's being ingested into the group. So you can always come here and click on this category. It'll drop down the full box. It's just acting kind of weird right now. And I'm really not even sure why it's acting this way. It's so bizarre. I'll just roll with it. But anyway, so cyber attack on UK's Defence Academy caused significant damage. Hacking will always be a problem. And if it's not having to cope with distributed denial of service attack or something else, then it can cause not just an outage, but actual damage. If they get inside, if somebody, a hacker, gets inside, without going into too much terminology, if somebody gets inside and does changes to the system, or in some way causes you to no longer trust the information that's on your system, that can be significant damage. And if you don't know how long somebody's been in your system and what they've done to change the data within it, you have a real concern. So we only go kind of down the rabbit hole of security from this point forward, really. So there's a Y2K22 bug in Microsoft Exchange that a fix came out for. There was a recall, if I understand correctly, there was a recall of Tesla. Let me see real quick if I can pull it up. Let's see. Sorry for the silence. So yeah, an article, the news came out a few days ago, that Tesla is recalling 475,000 vehicles due to camera and front trunk issues. So let's just for grins say half of the cars that were produced in 2021 are being recalled. That's not the exact time period, I don't think. But there you have it. Almost 500,000 vehicles are being recalled because of issues with the trunk and other things. Samsung released a 240 hertz refresh rate to monitors, 4K monitors. There are actually some monitors out there that do interpolation to get to that 240 hertz refresh rate. For the most part, you wouldn't realize it unless you're really into tech. I was just talking to somebody about this over Christmas, and I mean, it's let's take a look at this article. So it says PC gamers specifically opt for PC monitors because they can generally hit higher refresh rates than TVs. Yes. My monitors are 144 hertz. But apparently Samsung is releasing a 240 hertz native monitor, it seems, which that's pretty spectacular. And if you have the right cable and you are getting the information at the right, if you're getting enough of the information, then the 240 hertz makes sense. But if you're not getting enough data to display at 240 hertz, you're not getting more data. For instance, a video card can generate off of a computer. If the video card can pump out the data at 240 hertz, then every time the screen refreshes, you're getting a little bit more information. So if you're a gamer and it's pumping out 120, but you have a 240 hertz screen, you're not suddenly getting 240 hertz. You're not getting a partial frame that is more than the 120 hertz. So 240 hertz doesn't really matter until there is something that's generating the signal at 240 hertz. Otherwise, it is what I described earlier, interpolation. It's taking one image and doubling it so that you're getting a faster refresh rate. But that doesn't mean that you're getting more data. In real life, it's actually a spectrum of observation. We, as human beings, can observe the world at different rates. I mentioned it in that first stream that if you are a fighter pilot, you actually observe the world at a different rate than most non-fighter pilots, because they train to observe the world at a hyper-vigilant rate. There's researchers that have been providing the material out there, and maybe I can find it if I'm reminded. Otherwise, we'll just move on from here. But the idea is that you want to get a fast refresh rate on your monitor so that you can consume the information visually as fast as possible and see the subtle changes between one frame and another. Okay, so let's continue on here. Over 140,000 gaming firms close as China continues new license freeze. 140,000 gaming firms in China? That is amazing. I mean, that is a spectacular amount of firms. But keep in mind, a gaming firm can be, one person that's pumping out iPad apps versus somebody that has 50 employees and it is putting together a massive MMO. So 140, it actually is a lot, even to me. I mean, when you have an entire state with 100,000 openings for jobs, having 140,000 firms is just, wow, it's an incredible number. Samsung announced a smaller 4K version of its curviest, best looking gaming monitor, huh? And that's in the Word in Tech as well. I think maybe we can put together, or I'll put together an episode that talks about just monitors, and that'll be the Word in Tech. The Odyssey Neo G9. Yeah, that yeah, that's an expensive monitor. But if you can afford it, more power to you. Great screen. Apple's 2022 monitor rumored to be half the price of the Pro Display XDR, which is a massive, this thing is expensive. If you are an artist, you really should get a Wacom Intuos. It is just short of wonderful for being an artist. The only way that you can beat the Intuos is if you get like a Cintiq, or you draw directly on an iPad or other tablet. The difference is resolution, response time, and things like that. You have to zoom in on a tablet to get high resolution images into an area where you can draw sufficiently secure in where the line's going to end up, and that takes technique and experience that you learn over weeks, months, years, I'm not sure. And we have a bunch of articles in here. So this front page of a category always has 50, and it's always the latest 50 that have been pulled into that particular category set. Winnie the Pooh and around 400,000 early sound recordings enter public domain. And so all of this, you could actually take these early sound recordings and riff off of them. You can make them your own and renew the copyright for your embodiment of the work. It can't be the exact thing, but you can tweak it and submit it as an article in, or as a submission in Mixwar. So there you have it. Okay. So I've been chatting for about an hour and a half. And if you are interested in stopping by, then feel free. I'll be here tomorrow from 6 to 7:30. And maybe we can talk shop. And I want to thank you for coming. Have a good night. See you soon. Bye bye.